Good evening, everybody. Peter Greenberg here in New York in my bunker apartment here in Manhattan with my report for Wednesday evening, March 25th. Lots of things going on, as you know, because you've been reading the news, you've been watching the news. Congress is on the verge of passing the legislation they're calling the stimulus. I'll call it a recovery act. We'll see how much money really gets out there. But bottom line is, the earliest the checks are going to be arriving, maybe April 6th to individuals. Businesses are another issue. We're going to have to see what happens. Of course, we have to talk about the airline bailout as well. Here's the deal. No matter what happens, about 4.6 million jobs in travel and tourism may disappear in the next 10 days. And worldwide, 75 million jobs are at risk in travel and tourism. That's a serious number. You know, if you take a look at the real numbers, travel and tourism represents 1 in every 10 jobs, 1 in every 5 new jobs. Well, there's no point in talking about new jobs now because of the 4.6 million that may be lost in the next 10 days, there are estimates that like 1/3 of them may not be returning at all. Now, we're talking about businesses as well, and they're part of the congressional deal as well. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the travel agents who are working without any revenue stream whatsoever, and the independent contractors who also sell travel, the bus drivers, the tour operators, these guys are hurting big time, and they need help too. Hopefully the SBA will come to their rescue. But let's talk about what's going on in the airline business. You've heard about the possible bailout. I'll get to that. But right now there are rumors that the domestic airlines are going to stop service in this country at any minute. And there are reasons for that. They're parking so many planes right now because they're hemorrhaging so much. Delta has parked so many planes in Atlanta, they actually had to close one of the main runways in Hartsfield just to accommodate all the parked planes. Americans parking their planes in Tulsa near their maintenance facility. But if you look at an aerial view of that airport, nothing but parked American Airlines planes. But the numbers keep getting worse for domestic travel. Even with the capacity cuts and the parked planes, the load factor just at JFK yesterday for Delta was 31%. Talk about the unintended consequences of social distancing. Well, that's what's going on. They can't sustain those numbers. So they're going to try to get out of it. But for the moment, they're still flying for another reason, and one that you may remember, how the airlines got into business in the first place back in the 1930s, hauling the U.S. mail. That's right. But here's what's going on. The airlines can't make it hauling the U.S. mail. They still want to be good citizens in that respect, but they're still not going to make any money. So one by one, they're trying to convert to cargo operations. American Airlines actually took one of their passenger planes 2 days ago and converted it to all cargo to haul the mail. And for the first time in 30 years, American flew an all cargo flight. Delta and United may do the same, but that's not going to be the answer. The answer is going to be with what the governor's going to do. And also, can the system support it even with those low numbers? For example, the air traffic control system is being compromised as more and more ATC workers are coming down with tests that are showing them positive for coronavirus. That's resulted in towers shutting down, control towers shutting down. We had a complete ground stop at LaGuardia the other day. 11 other ATC towers have been otherwise impacted as well. So this may also compound the problem and lead to that shutdown. Will the shutdown happen tomorrow? No. They'll probably give it 72 hours. They'll give you a 3-day notice on that. And if it doesn't happen, it's only because the airlines, got bailed out. So let's talk about this because it brings up the issue of a double standard here. How can the government bail out the airlines if the airlines aren't bailing out the people who bought their tickets in the first place? Right? We're talking about refunds, not vouchers. Refunds. Now, some airlines are doing a better job than others. Qantas, for example, will offer you a voucher worth 10% more than what you paid for your ticket, but at the same time, they're holding your money for a year. So is United Airlines. The last time I looked, I'm not the bank loaning the money to the airlines. But if the United States government is, it should come with conditions that they have to give you full refunds. Not just now during the crisis, but going forward. It's the only right thing to do. And the other thing is this. As airlines stop flying entirely, as airlines are going to not come back for a while, Ryanair, no flights in April and May. Qantas not flying till the end of May. And many other airlines overseas may not be coming back. We know this. So if you're holding a reservation, think about this. I mentioned this in my last video, but it bears repeating. I'm going to give you the example of Dallas, Texas. For the people who live in the Dallas region, last year, 87% of those who flew American Airlines only flew the airline once. Why? They're not mega frequent flyers. They're not big business travelers. They're leisure travelers who saved up their hard-earned dollars to take that once-a-year vacation. And they booked it 3 or 4 months in advance. That's how they do it. So you're going to hold their money for a year? No. Give them their money back. And for the rest of you, if you're holding a reservation for April, May, or June, you know what? Continue to hold that reservation. Don't just cancel it yet. Why? Because if you go to the airline's websites, it'll show you that your flight in April, May, or June is operating. Most of that's going to be a lie in the next couple of weeks. Just count on that. Look, if we'd had the internet back in 1912, it would show the Titanic still operating on its return trip to England. Let's be real. So wait. Wait as long as you can to cancel, and let them cancel first. That way you've got a bigger standing, a better standing, a stronger standing. And again, always contact me, peter@petergreenberg.com. I'll get into it for you. This is important stuff. But remember, the airlines have changed their refund policies about 5 or 6 times over the last 2.5 weeks. There's no reason why they're not going to continue to change it again, especially in light of this bailout and the pressures that come along with it. All right? Now, the other day I asked you to get in touch with me at that email address, peter@petergreenberg.com, and you did. I've got a lot of your emails right here. I'm going to get through some of them now and then come back with a second video a little bit later because we got buried with these emails and I want to get to as many of them as I can. Here's one from Barbara Frey. Last year I took 3 of my 4 children on a Viking cruise through Germany and France. We all loved it, so we booked a cruise leaving in about 10 days to the Netherlands and Belgium. Needless to say, that cruise has been canceled. This one was for my 4 children and me, a lot of money. They are offering either a full refund or a credit for 1 1/4 the amount. See what like Qantas is doing. My son, a lawyer, says, take the money. They may go bankrupt. My daughters say, take the deal. If the vouchers are not used for 2 years, we get our money back anyway. Well, in this situation, let's get down to a definition of bankrupt. I do not believe any of the major cruise lines are going to go out of business. I'm not talking about bankrupt, I mean out of business. There's a difference. We all know that, having seen all the bankruptcies with airlines that are still flying today. So my advice to you is, Viking's a strong company. They do a great job. If they're offering you the option to use it within 2 years and giving you an additional credit in addition to that, go for it. All right? That would be my advice, especially since you don't have to go right away. You can take your time and see which ones you want. All right? Here's one from Sam Simmons who goes, my buddies and I are booked a trip to Fort Lauderdale and are supposed to fly out of Chicago on Sunday, just a couple of days from now. Our concern is that when we are in Fort Lauderdale, domestic travel will be shut down and we won't be able to get back home. Again, I just mentioned this in my brief. They're always going to give you 3 days notice. They're not going to say it's going to shut down by midnight tomorrow night. So if they announce that, guess what? Come on home, right? But remember, if they're going to do it at all, they're going to do it within the next 3 or 4 days anyway, because they're not going to shut down domestic travel if they're taking the government money, right? They can't have one without the other. And you know what? They're going to take the money. Here's one from another named Peter, and Peter Sertic in Del Mar, California. Among the other conditions that legislation for airline bailout should consider is a provision that mandates that all tickets for the coronavirus be refundable. I agree with you, but you know what? It's not in the bill. It's not in the current legislation. This is going to have to be done on conversations you have with the res agents at the airline every time any of you call. But be strong about it and never take a no from somebody who's not empowered to give you a yes in the first place. Always ask to speak to a supervisor. And remember my email, peter@petergreenberg.com. Here's one from Karen Bradford. We have $10,000 invested in an upcoming Mediterranean cruise. It's on the new Celebrity Apex. And our cruise hasn't been canceled as yet. And we would definitely want to take the cruise, but not in the next couple of months. So we are weighing our options. Our question is this. In your opinion, is there a chance that this cruise will declare bankruptcy? No. Celebrity is a very strong company. Its parent company is Royal Caribbean. The Apex is a brand new ship. Everybody wants to be on it. My guess is it's going to sail, maybe not the day you want to go, but that cruise line is not going to go anywhere fast, anywhere soon. Okay? Anytime soon. I'll be back with another video with more of your emails in just a little bit. Until then, be safe, stay healthy, and stay sane.